Welcome to Home Farm. In today's video, we are going to focus on the chimney that we've just had rebuilt. A couple of weeks ago, we had a leak that was coming into the house, and it turned out to be as a result of cracks and gaps in the actual chimney stack. This was the original chimney on the house, and unfortunately over the years, the previous owners had not done regular maintenance to it. And what maintenance they did do was not very good. So they DIY'd quite a lot of the flashing around the chimney. We have no issue with DIY work, but when it comes to specialist work like this, you kind of have to do a little bit of research and actually get the job done properly. So as a result, the chimney was not in a good state, and we had to get some specialist roofers in to rebuild it for us. The roofers that we hired specialized in period properties, and they work with foundations such as Heritage England. So we worked with them to put up a chimney on our house that reflected the period. Our farmhouse dates back to around 1850, which means that's the Victorian period. So when we decided to rebuild this chimney with the roofers, we wanted to ensure that it adhered to the Victorian style. As part of that, we had to do quite a fair amount of research with regards to the Corbelling, which we'll show you shortly, and also ensuring that the chimney pots and the cowls that we got at the top also reflected that time period. In terms of health and safety, we have got scaffolding all the way up the side of the house, all the way up to the chimney stack. So without further ado, let's pop up to the top and show you how professional chimney builders have constructed our chimney in a traditional style using modern techniques. Right, so here we are. We're at the top of the scaffolding. We can see the chimney. It's been fully rebuilt. And we're going to go through all the various parts of this chimney and discuss the anatomy of a perfectly built chimney. Starting at the top, we've got our chimney pots. We were able to find these at a salvage yard. These are restored, we believe, Victorian chimney pots. So we have got those. They are pretty big. They are very, very heavy. And situated on top of those are the clay cowls. These are also traditional. These are designed to prevent birds from going inside and nesting inside your chimney, which obviously is a no-no, because once they get the nest in there and you try and start a fire, it doesn't lead to very good outcomes. The pots sit on top of a flaunching base. That's the concrete you can see at the top. The pots themselves sit on top of steel bars, which are then cemented down with the actual flaunching. As we move down the chimney, you can start to see that the brick is positioned in such a way that it starts to form a pattern. Some brick lines move out and others go in. That effect is called corbelling. We have gone with the traditional Victorian corbel. So the top 5 or 6 courses move in and out. Then we have a slight break, and then we have another course that comes out a little bit. It just creates a design, and from a distance, it actually makes the chimney look really, really nice. In terms of modern building standards, this lead that we can see here is called the DPC. It's a lead tray that runs through the entire chimney at that course level. And what that does is it prevents any water that comes through the top to come down here. And they come out through these little guys, which they call weep holes. Any moisture that forms inside those will actually come out these little grooves. And the reason that you've got a little bit of space on either side of them is to allow the chimney to breathe and to circulate a bit of air, because if for whatever reason you did get moisture, your flue obviously does get a bit warm, condensation can form. All that would happen is that condensation would actually form at the top of the chimney up here, and with time it would just seep back down and probably take a long time to dry out. In this case, it will allow everything to evaporate nicely and to try and keep the inside of that chimney as dry as possible. We just want to ensure that the chimney that we have built is actually going to stand for another 180 years or longer. Regarding the weep holes, it's worth saying that they should be occurring every 2 bricks. So we can see that we have one there at the end. We have another one here, 2 bricks down the line. Then we come across here and we have one there. And as we move and progress our way across, there's another one 2 bricks over. And as we move around here, again, 1, 2, and there's the other one. Now, the leak that we had in our house occurred as a result of the lead flashing that runs down the bottom of the chimney. You can put proper lead flashing even on old chimneys. It just does require a bit of knowledge and a definite skill set. The previous owners had done this as a bit of a DIY botch job, and as a result we started getting holes and water ingress coming in, and that is what has led to the leaks inside our house. Again, looking at modern building standards, we have got lead that runs all the way from the ridge line coming down in a step, which is why it's called step flashing, and they actually grind into the mortar and slide the lead in there. So any rain or water that comes down is simply going to wash down that lead flashing down here, down the roof tiles and into the gutters below. Again, the objective here is to keep water out. So because they have ground into the mortar to allow the lead flashing to slide in, they use a product called Lead Mate, which is just basically a fancy sealant that works with lead that they apply to fill those gaps. This actual sealant gives a little bit of movement as opposed to using a mortar or concrete type base, which is rigid and might crack. This will actually move with the lead as it expands and contracts, and will prevent water from getting into our chimney stack. Another very important portion of this construction is the apron on the front. You can see that it is a lot wider than the lead that we use on the flashing on the sides. It basically runs about a half a length of the tile that we've got. And again, this has been designed in such a way so that all the water that pours down from the various portions of this chimney when it rains, it's got a nice area to basically work its way away from the chimney, onto the roof tiles, into the gutters and down to the ground, and not actually getting into the house. As we move to the other side of the chimney, we can see that the neatness is maintained. There is nice pointing on the mortar. The brickwork is very, very neat. And the lead flashing is equally nice. As an additional point on the Cowls, our prevailing winds come from the south, which is more or less in that direction. So we've positioned them in such a way that the wind can blow through the actual Cowls, and that will help with the draw on the fireplaces. The Cowls have not been cemented in. They have used an all-condition sealant from Gorilla to do that, and the reason for that is because if you do get any winds or adverse weather, you want there to be a little bit of give on the actual Cowls where they join the pots. If you have concrete, it could actually lead to them cracking, and they could even potentially blow away. I can also see that for old time's sake and everything else, they've left a little bit of Gorilla sealant on the side of our pot, which obviously you won't see from the bottom. You can only see it when you get up really close. But yeah, that's probably the most untidy portion of the job that they actually did. In terms of brick choice, we were tempted to go with a reclaimed brick, but ultimately decided to go with a heritage brick. So it's a newly manufactured brick that's just made to look old. And what we really like about it is that it matches the rest of our house. There are countless amounts of bricks on the market nowadays. A lot of them are engineered. They don't look particularly attractive, but they are virtually indestructible. But we wanted to get that balance right with regards to something that is going to stand the test of time, but that also matches the rest of the house. And I think that the brick choice that we went with was ultimately the right choice. So there you go. We hope that gives you a really good insight into how a traditional style chimney should be built using modern building standards. And if you found this video helpful or useful, please hit the subscribe button below, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you in our next video. Thanks for watching. You can also follow us on Twitter or check out our website at myhomefarm.co.uk. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button below, and if you have any suggestions for any other videos you would like to see, please leave a comment. We hope to see you on our next video.